So today we have Sammir with us. Welcome,
Hello.
Sammir.
Thank you.
Sammir is the founder and the CEO of Entralltech, a learning management solution company, right?
Yes.
We are going to talk about new developments in the learning management space with Sammir, right? So Sammir, you've seen a lot of things which is out there in the learning management domain,
Sure.
right? What's new? How is it developing?
Okay. So it's great. I think for the last couple of years, everybody is talking about how there's massive disruption in the tech HR and the L&D space. And
Sure.
we see it all around. Most of the companies are now looking at nimble, agile solutions.
Right.
And we, of course, got into the learning management space just about 3 years ago,
Sure.
where we felt that there was a huge disruption possible, and we were coveting to be actually one of the disruptors.
Sure.
And we got a solution called Empowered
Interesting.
LMS.
Okay.
And in fact, we have a tagline that says Beyond LMS.
All right.
Okay. And the huge difference is that companies are now looking at the entire learning model has shifted from those classroom training where
Right.
folks would be around for a couple of days, and
Sure.
learning programs are they are quite lengthy.
Sure.
And now people are looking at L&D teams are now looking at building programs which are bite size,
Right.
and just in time,
Sure.
and just enough. I mean, that's the real buzzword: just in time and just enough.
Right.
And the newer platforms, the disruption is ensuring that this kind of searchable, just in time learning is
Right.
available now.
Right.
And that's been a big, massive disruption that we
Sure.
have seen in our learning space.
Sure. So that's an interesting development, and of course, a lot of people are talking about it. Right? But who's it for? Is it for a particular type of an organization? What are really the boundary conditions for its applicability?
Well, so the applicability is actually across verticals,
Right.
and across organization of the size of like a startup
Sure.
to even size of a lakh of employees and
Right.
above.
Right.
So we have a diverse customer base where we have customers which are user base of about 200, 300 people,
Sure.
and also someone like HDFC Bank that uses
Right.
a solution which has a
Right.
user base of more than 1 lakh employees.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, of course, there are importance.
Sure.
It is important to ensure that the software is scalable,
Right.
and then you build it in such a way that it's available on multi-delivery platforms, like it's available on cloud. That's something
Sure.
that a lot of the companies are looking at, because
Sure.
they want to go from the capex model that was the prevalent old model that companies would spend money to acquire software,
Sure.
acquire the infrastructure and then deploy it,
Right.
to more of an OPEX model where it's
Right.
looking at as purely an operational expense.
Sure.
So software for rent or hire, as
Sure.
they call it right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's one size fits all kind of thing. The application software can be used from startups to large organizations as well.
Sure. Sure. And the other big beer, around software, right? The implementation time, right? How is that changing? Because of course, with newer organization and business cycles getting shorter and shorter,
Right.
I'm sure people don't have time to be, to kind of
Absolutely.
implement some of these solutions.
Absolutely.
Right?
So you hit the nail on the head, literally over there.
Right.
And as we discussed even during this SHRM Tech HR conference this year, a lot of the companies are not willing to wait for months and years for the implementation to happen.
Sure.
And in fact, the go-to-market strategy now is that, okay, can we have it like yesterday?
Right.
So the softwares that we are talking about, the new age learning softwares, new age HR softwares that we're talking about,
Sure.
they actually can be implemented in a matter of minutes.
All right.
You can actually take a free trial.
Sure.
You can start uploading your sample users. You can
Sure.
do your demo, and by the time you got your approvals in place, you are ready to actually start deploying your learning app,
Right.
learning producers out there right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's pretty fast, pretty agile, and you
Sure.
can go live in a matter of minutes or days, if not weeks and months.
Sure.
For
sure. Sure. And this is of course mobile as well, right? This is like you said, it's for the field force.
Unified experience, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have a mobile strategy with a software,
Sure.
then I think you are missing out in a big way. So
Right.
now every company that, I mean, the new age companies or even the traditional companies, when they are now deploying or architecting new solutions, mobile first strategy is always there. So mobile first design thinking, these are the areas that companies are looking out for. Of course, looking at the audience, India has a large millennial workforce, almost like, I mean, one of the reports was quoting about 240 million young workforce base over here. So the designing of the software definitely needs to kind of take into consideration that you're looking at the millennial workforce. So that plays a big part as well in building and designing the software.
Sure. Again, is it for all type of skills, or does it suit a certain type of skill more than it does others? So for example, your traditional leadership development, programs that are there, right? Those are, workshops, interventions, which are on location, can they also go mobile?
Oh yes, absolutely. And so typically what the learning software now is doing is that they're kind of giving you all the experiences under one solution. So you can do your e-learning. There could be your bite-sized learning that you can consume anytime, anywhere. You could also do e-learning in forms of videos. So you could probably have a Harvard Business School or a Yale professor delivering a video on leadership, which can be consumed by the CXOs or your leadership across on their mobile platform. So they can actually hear the expert speak. Of course, nothing can beat the live personal interactions that one would get when you're working on with a coach or with an advisor. And that is something that is going to stay. But you see that kind of training is really skimming the top. That's like really at the CXO's level. So the majority of the learning would still happen on your application, on your devices, and on your desktops or laptops. And some of the training, especially at the coaching, high-end coaching level, that would still be one-on-one. What the technology would do is enable that and also give you little nuggets. So you could have some refresher kind of modules that could kind of keep you updated with the subject in place. So yeah, to answer your question again, it kind of covers the entire organization, right from the CEO to someone who has just been a new inductee, someone who's just joined the organization. So it kind of covers the entire audience across the length and breadth of the organization.
What about assessment? When you have something like this, which is virtual, right? How do you make sure that the learning is something which is ingrained, which the person is something which the person has also been able to use on the job?
Sure, that's a great question. And assessment has always been the de facto go-to strategy in terms of to actually check on the knowledge and the comprehension of the learner. So, and assessments have now come in various forms. You can actually showcase a video of a 2-minute, and then after 2 minutes, you could actually have a question pop up saying, okay, what did you learn in this last 2-minute clip? Was it A, B, C? So you could have interactive videos. You could have assessments pre-classroom, post-classroom. So the unified solutions that empower, our solution that we have actually has assessments built in, an engine where you can actually create a question bank and you can assign the difficulty, the degree of difficulty of the questions. And then there is a randomizer engine which can actually populate say out of 100 questions, 20 questions at a stretch. And the next time you come in, it could give you another set of 20 questions. So there's an amazing assessment and certification engine that is actually built in within the system itself. And using this, you can do your assessment, spots assessment. You can do your curated assessments as well. You can do time-bound assessment. So all these possibilities which were kind of unheard of, or you would have to go into a classroom environment to proctor an assessment or a test, can actually now happen online. Some recent great examples is like before you take an assessment, the camera can actually take a picture. There could be a biometric scan of that and ensure that, okay, you are the person that is actually taking the test. So these kind of new age features are already enabled now into the workforce.
Interesting. Thank you, Sammir, for giving us a perspective about what's happening in the domain of LMS. We learned a lot from this session. Thank you, Sammir, once again for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me over. Great.
Thank you. Good.